Welcome students. In today's video lecture, we'll be learning the concept of contouring. It's a branch of leveling which gives us in detail the contour of the lens surface. It is an imaginary line on the ground surface joining the points of equal elevations. It is a line in which the surface of ground is intersected by a level surface. A contour line is a line on the map representing a contour. A map showing contour lines is known as a contour map. Now the process of tracing the contour lines on the surface of the earth is called contouring. So the process is called as contouring. The lines that are shown are called as contour lines, and the final map that you get or that you receive with these lines and the process of contouring is called as a contour map. So here there is a figure which shows a contour for a hill. So this is an example. So this particular map is a contour map, wherein there are contour lines which are shown with some numbers, that is 10, 20, 30, 40 and so. This is the projection of those contour lines and this is how it is done. Okay, so this is how it looks. Purpose of contouring is the contour survey is carried out at the starting of any engineering project such as a road, a railway, a canal, dam, etc. This is done usually for preparing contour to select the most economical or suitable site, to locate the alignment of canals so that it should follow a ridge line. It is done also to mark the alignment of roads and railways so that the quantity of earthwork both in cutting and filling should be minimal. For getting information about the ground, whether it is flat, undulating or mountainous. So it is the fourth point is similar to what we do for profile leveling. In profile leveling, we find out the profile of the surface only in one line, okay, at equal intervals. Here we carry out the same profile leveling for maybe in a radial manner or for certain ground surface. It's a plot, but it's not a straight line, it is a plot, and we get the profile of the entire ground in detail. To locate the it is also used to locate the physical features of the ground, such as a pond depression, hill, steep or small slopes. What do you mean by contour interval or horizontal equivalent? As I said in the first diagram, there were some numbers written, that is 10, 20, 30, 40. This is the constant vertical distance between two consecutive contour lines, and it is called as the contour interval. So it is the distance between two contour lines. It's the vertical distance or between two consecutive contours which has to be maintained throughout the contour map. So like in profile leveling, if you compare it with profile leveling, we had equal intervals which we had kept 5 meters, 10 meters and so on. This contour interval is also a similar method or similar quantity that has to be maintained to prepare a contour map. Horizontal equivalent is the horizontal distance between any two adjacent contours. The contour interval is constant between the consecutive contours, while the horizontal equivalent is variable and depends upon the slope of the ground. Now let us learn some of the characteristics of contours. All the points in a contour line have the same elevation. So when I say a contour line of say 60 here in the diagram, if you say a contour line of 60, any point on this line will have the elevation 60. Okay. Next, the contour line of 65, you pick up any point on this particular line, the elevation should be equal to 65. So all the points in the contour line have the same elevation. Flat ground is indicated where the contours are widely separated and steep slope where they run close together. So when it is a flat surface or almost a flat ground, the interval or the distance between the two contour lines will be very high. So this indicates that it is flat. So the contours are widely separated, and if it is steep, it is very close together. Okay, all the contour lines are very close to each other. That means the interval is very small, so that you get the each and every minute detail. A uniform slope is indicated when the contour lines are uniformly spaced. So if there is a gradual change in height, either a depression or a height or increase, then the contour interval between two contour lines is almost uniform. A plane surface when they are straight, parallel and equally spaced. A plane surface is shown when they are straight lines or they are parallel lines or they are equally spaced lines. A series of closed contour lines on map represent a hill if the higher values are inside. So if you see here, it's a closed contour line map. Okay, it's closed. So there is a contour line of 60, then 65, 70, 75 and 80. As you go inside, the elevation increases. The higher values are inside. This indicates that it's a hill. So you project in such a way that it forms a hill. So this is 60. This is a vertical scale. You plot it here 60, then it is 65, slightly higher than this, 70, 75 and 80. So if you simply connect these points, it forms a hill. So a series of closed contour lines on a map represents a hill if the higher value is inside here. Okay. Now if the lower value is inside and the higher value is outside, it indicates a depression. So we will consider the same procedure. This is 80, this is 75, 70, 60, 60, 65, 60. So if you project 60 here, obviously on the vertical scale it has to be 60, 65, 70, 75 and 80. We cannot change the vertical scale. So if you plot this on the vertical scale and if you connect these points, it is a depression. So a series of closed contour lines on the map indicate a depression if the higher values are outside. Other characteristics, the contour lines cross ridge or valley line at right angles. If the higher values are inside the bend or loop in the contour, it indicates a ridge. Okay, so this is a ridge line. So this is not closed contour lines. These are not closed. These are open. But one point on each of the contour line will be connected. So if the higher values are outside the bend, it represents a valley. So this is a second diagram which is shown, and in the first diagram, if the higher values are inside the bend or loop in the contour, it indicates a ridge. Also, the contour lines cannot merge or cross one another on map except in case of an overhanging cliff. So only when there is a cliff like this, which is seen in the first figure, the contour lines will merge or will cross each other at one point. Otherwise, they are totally separated from each other, like in case of the first and the second diagram of hill or a depression. Okay, so if the contour lines are merging or they are overlapping or one point is connected, you need to know that it's an overhanging cliff. Also, if you refer the second diagram, contour lines never run into one another except in case of a vertical cliff, as we already said, and in case several contours coincide, the horizontal equivalent becomes 0. So that means that either it's a straight vertical cliff like is shown in figure 2, wherein the elevation is same, that there is no change in the elevation in this particular at this particular place. Okay, so even when there is a straight vertical cliff, all the contour lines will coincide at one point. Now there are different methods to carry out this contouring. First they are divided into direct method and indirect method. In this direct method, the contours to be located are differently traced out in the field by locating and marking a number of points on each contour. These points are then surveyed and plotted on plan and the contours drawn through them. The field work is two folds. One is the vertical control and second is the horizontal control. So when I say vertical control, you have to look the location of the points on the contour is taken care, and horizontal control is survey of those points. Indirect contouring. In this method, the points located and surveyed are not necessarily on the contour lines, but the spot levels are taken along the series of lines laid out over the area. The spot levels of the several representative points representing hills, depressions, ridge and valley lines, and the changes in the slope all over the area to be contoured are also observed. Now, indirect method of locating the ground points are again done by three methods. One, by square method, second by cross-sectioning, and third using a tachyometric method. So by squares method, it is very simple. You have to form a grid on the flat ground or on the ground of a common interval or same interval. So there will be a grid that will be drawn by the surveyor before you start the work. Okay, so this is the grid that is made on the ground. So these points are marked as A, B, C, D, E, F, G as shown in the figure, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in the figure. Now the readings are taken. Now the distance between point 1 and 2 or point A and B is same. Either it can be 2 meters, 4 meters, 5 meters depending on the precision that is required. If the work is very important, the distance between these 2 points should be lesser. So once you mark the grid, you take the readings at every junction, that is at A1, A2, A3, A4, A5, A6. Similarly at B1, B2, B3, B4, B5, B6. And then this particular grid is drawn on the ground, drawn on the paper, and these contour lines of similar elevations or the points of similar elevations are connected to each other. That gives you the contour, or that gives you the elevation of the point, or that gives you the contour map. Okay, so what is done is the points of equal elevations are connected to each other in this particular grid, and that gives us the contour lines. By cross sections, cross section method is most suitable for preparing contour maps for roadworks, railways, canals, etc. Typically, this type of land has a very long strip but narrow road. So this is almost like profile leveling. The steps that are involved here is the center line of the strip of land is first marked the same way how we do it for profile leveling. The lines perpendicular to the longitudinal strips are marked, dividing the strip into equal sections. So this is cross sectioning that we do, and the perpendicular lines are divided into equally spaced divisions, thus forming rectangular grids. So now in cross sectioning, in profile leveling, what we did was we marked only 3 points on the perpendicular line. Here, instead of marking those 3 points, they are divided equally into equally spaced divisions, forming rectangular grids. So at the end, again the rectangular grids are being formed. The levels are taken at the intersection of the grid lines to obtain the cross section profile of the strip of land. Now, contour map is plotted in the office by interpolating points of equal elevation based on the levels taken at the site. So again, this cross-sectioning method is treated as the method that is used for squares, that is contouring using square method. So the plotting is the same as what we learnt in the earlier case. That is, you have to draw the grid. All the elevations of the intersections are known. Interpolate and calculate the elevations of the intermediate points and connect all the points of equal elevation. So the office work is the same as what we do for square method. But when we take, or the field work is slightly different. We do not draw the grid here, but what we do is we mark the cross-sectional lines, and we mark or divide these cross-sectional lines into equally spaced divisions, which forms the rectangular grids. The third method that is used for contouring is tachyometric method. So in case of hilly terrain, the tachyometric method may be used with advantages. Tachyometer is a theodolite fitted with stadia diaphragm so that staff readings against all the 3 hairs may be taken. The staff intercept S is then obtained by taking the difference between the readings against the top and bottom wires. So like what we have used a dumpy level, and we take only one reading through the dumpy level. That is the reading that intersects the middle hair of the telescope. But in case of theodolite, we are going to learn theodolite in detail in the next video lecture. So in theodolite, there are three stadia here: the top, the middle one, and the bottom. So all three readings are taken, and the staff intercept is obtained by taking the difference between the readings against the top and bottom wires. The line of sight can make an inclination with the horizontal, and the horizontal distance need not be measured, since the tachyometer provides both horizontal as well as vertical control. This is how the contour plan will look if we use the tachyometric method for contouring. So there are this is the radial method. So there are radial lines. So this is the point where the instrument is kept. Okay, this is the instrument station. These are the radial lines all in all the directions of the instrument, and readings are taken on each radial line going away from the instrument, and the points of equal elevations are connected to form the contour map. Okay, so these points are called as the nodal points along which readings are taken. So these are the points, that the dots which are marked are the points where the readings are taken. The line connecting these joints or connecting these points of equal elevations are called as the contour lines, and the lines along which the readings are taken are called as the radial lines. So this is the radial method for contouring using a tachyometer. So it's a tachyometric method. So comparison of direct and indirect contouring. Indirect, it is most accurate but slow and tedious, because we have to first plot, we have to find out the points, mark it on the ground, then take the readings. Here it is not so accurate but rapid and less tedious. Direct method is expensive because before we take the reading there is a preparation that has to be made. Indirect method, it is cheaper because you just need the instrument, you have to go on the site and start taking the readings. Direct method, it is not suitable for hilly areas because it does not give you cannot do a grid, or you cannot mark the points on the earth's surface, as some places are not reachable. Wherein indirect method, it is suitable for hilly areas. Direct method, during the work calculations can be done directly. In indirect method, we cannot do any calculations. We have to only take the field readings, and we can do the calculations once we come back in the office. In direct method, the calculations cannot be checked after contouring. So there is no check that is given for this. But in indirect method, the calculations can be checked as and when required. Thank you very much.